So I know y'all beat them handily earlier. I know they're struggling, but I'm looking at their numbers, and if I'm pronouncing the guy's name right, Bangwe and Griffin have some pretty darn good numbers. They look like they can be a load.
Yeah, really impressed with Banku. He's leading the league in rebounding. I think he's averaging a little bit over 11 a game in conference play. Griffin is a good mid-range shooter, really good three-point shooter. The transfer they got, Betson, same way. Both those guys are outstanding three-point shooters. Sullivan Banke leads the league in rebounding, but Betson is shooting 45% from the three. He's a leading three-point shooter, and Griffin is probably their best guard. So Richard, the point guard, does a really good job. Betson, Griffin, but the guy that's really started to play well for them is Dowger. He's coming off a 24-point game against Wichita State. Outstanding rebounder, plays hard. So, Coach Conkle's going through what most of us went through when you inherit a program where he's just. I just remember how much we struggled to win a game our first year. That was. I never looked at it as being tough. Never worried about it. Because I know that first year was going to be like that. So regardless of what the people might think or opinions they may have, they're all irrelevant. Because you're building a program, and when you build a program, you go through a first year. Now, the transfer portal is a lot easier now than it was then, because then you're basically recruiting kids that have no offers in April, which is not a good recipe for having a great team your first year. But I like a lot of stuff that they're doing. You can tell that they're well coached. His kids are playing hard, and they've been right there. They led Memphis in the last 5-10 minutes. They've been in every game, which I think is a great sign for the culture that they're building and for Eric and his staff. So I've been impressed with how much better they've gotten as the years gone along.
Thank you, Mark. We'll go to Andy Yanez from Gallery Sports. Andy, go ahead, please.
Good morning, Coach. How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Coach, I want to follow up with one of the things you said after the Temple game, but kind of one of the focuses heading down the stretch here will be continuing to develop your younger players. I'm just curious if you could talk a little bit about how important the balance is with those younger players when it comes to being able to allow them to play through mistakes versus when it's time to get them off the court and maybe kind of highlight some of those mistakes.
Well, I'm not going to talk about mistakes. That's the wrong tent. But a lot of it depends on where we are in the stage of the game. And I mean, I know them. I mean, you guys see them once the game starts, so you don't know what you don't know. Whereas with me, I see them every single day. Some of them are more fit for certain moments than others. But it's a balancing act. It always is with young kids. One of the guys that you can tell's getting more comfortable though is Emmanuel. Because Jarris is Jarris. Sometimes we could forget he's a freshman. Then you watch Duke and Miami, and you realize that being a freshman is about peaks and valleys. Now his valleys are starting to balance out his peaks some. JVA, I thought, had one of his better games in a while. Terrence's best game's coming up here pretty soon. So you're just always trying to keep developing those freshmen. There's no magic formula to it. I don't have any secrets. It's just get them in there, see how they're playing. And if they're impacting winning, they get to play more. If they're not, then they don't. Simple as that.
Thank you, Andy. We'll go to Greg Bailey from KTRK. Go ahead, Greg.
Kelvin, good morning. Jamal was telling us yesterday with a great deal of respect towards your home fans and the difference that they make. He almost prefers playing on the road for the us against everybody mentality and some of the things that brings. Is that simply an extension of everything that permeates your program, or has that been a special emphasis with the success you've had this year?
Well, we've always emphasized playing on the road, but don't get it twisted. I'd rather play at home.
Thank you, Greg. We'll go to Chancellor Johnson from KPRC. Chancellor, go ahead, please, sir.
Hey, good morning, Kelvin.
Good morning.
Hey, in the last game against Temple, Ryan came in and made a big shot late in that ball game. For a guy who puts in the work as much as he does, but doesn't get as much playing time, as a coach, what did it mean to you to see him take advantage of this opportunity like that?
Everybody in our program, from trainers, strength coaches, staff, players, everybody loves Ryan. Everybody has great respect for Ryan. When I come in the mornings, if the ball's bouncing, I look out the window, it's usually Ryan. He's constantly working on his game. I think Ryan wants to be a coach when he's finished. He's talked to me about that, and that's why he sticks it out. Ryan is a hard worker. He's a great kid, comes from a great family. He's a great teammate. He's selfless. He's very mature, very intelligent. We're blessed to have Ryan in our program.
We'll go to Daniel Gotera from KHOU next. Daniel, go ahead, please.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning, Daniel.
What has impressed you the most about Juwan Roberts this year? Because he's a ball of energy out there, and when he's rolling, it seems like you want to keep feeding him the ball. But in his development, what has really stood out to you?
Yeah, well, when I think about these kids' development, you go back to when I first saw them during their high school careers. Part of recruiting is, first of all, evaluation, then projection. We have to be able to project, especially kids like Jaywan, who, Fabian, we've had a lot of kids like that we knew what the work was. And were they the kind of kids that were going to put the work in? That's really where the evaluation comes in. I don't think anybody that played with Jaywan his freshman year saw him as someone I'm going to start. We're down 4 at halftime against Temple, and I called 3 plays right away for Jaywan. That tells you a lot about his development, how far he's come. But I trust him on that. It's not the block; it's just in that post area. He prefers catching it a little further out above the block so he can get middle. You can see a baseline cutter. You can see our Spanish screen action on the weak side. Whatever we're in, J1 can pass, and he's very unselfish. So, and when you have an unselfish passer, it usually incentivizes the other players to cut, because he will pass you the ball if you cut, and that pass may lead to another pass. So in some ways, playing through J1 is not necessarily for him to score the ball, or for him to make the right play. And he's really improved in that area.
Thank you, Daniel. We'll go to Chris Gardner from Houston Roundball Review. Chris, please go ahead.
Coach, what are your thoughts on Tramon's passing ability, playmaking ability? Now it's improved.
Yeah, that's another area that we've really been working on. When you catch the ball, there's 3 things you should do right away, and you should make quick, decisive decisions. Pass it, shoot it, or dribble it, but don't hold it. Don't hold it. This isn't Mr. Ed the Horse where you paw in the ground to tell us you want a piece of corn or something. Move the ball, son. Catch it, move it, catch it, shoot it, or catch it and go. Tramon early in the year, everything was terminating with him. The ball was sticking. Okay, there's an issue. We have to clean that up. But the NBA has a top 100 camp at University of Virginia's building in Charlottesville. I remember going to watch Tremont play in that top 100 players in the country. The team that Tremont was on, the point guard didn't show up. I don't know what the reasons were, but Tremont wound up having to play point guard for his team that week. And he wound up, and he led the entire, it might have been 2.5 days. It's not like it was a week, but they played 2 or 3 games a day, but Tremont led that thing in assist. Now, sometimes outside influences want to tell these kids how to play. I have zero interest in outside influences' opinions on how our players are going to play. So we've instructed Tremont to be aggressive. We put him in more pick and rolls. Matter of fact, when Jamal got in foul trouble the other day, I ran a lot of stuff with Tremont being the point guard. That tells you what he can do. Sometimes showing confidence in a kid is all he needs. So with Tremont, quit holding it, move it, but make the right play. His shot selection this year has not been very good at times, but having him have, and I think that's his 3rd straight good game. He's had about 3 games where he was very decisive with his decision making, and the ball was moving when it hit his hands, and that makes our offense better. You know, there's a difference in holding the ball, and then all of a sudden the offense becomes stagnant, versus moving the ball and it's free flowing. That's one of the reasons why we scored 80 points this time versus 55 to last. The ball was moving a lot better. And you're always fighting that. Because you tell them to do it doesn't mean they're always going to do it. But that's where having a bench serves as a motivator too.
We'll go to Joseph Duarte from the Chronicle. Joseph, go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Kelvin.
Good morning, Joseph.
Kelvin, a little off topic. I wanted to ask you, it's been 5 years since, or almost 5 years since you, the program joined the Jordan brand with partnership. And I was wondering, what has that partnership meant for the program? Or can you kind of give us a little insight into the sort of what that's meant, having that relationship?
Well, if you notice this hip hop generation, if they have some extra money in their pocket, they're going to go buy shoes. It's usually Jordans, and they know them by name. Like I wear a lot of Jordans. I can't wear all the ones I have. But when I go recruit and I wear Jordans, the first thing a recruiter say, "Dang, coach, I like your shoes, man." And then they tell me what number they are. I have no idea what number they are. I said, "Coach, those 11s are on fire. Because those 9s or those this or those that." These kids are plugged into Jordans. And the fact that, my relationship with, of course, I knew about 10 months before everybody else did, including the athletic director. I mean, that deal with Jordan was a long time relationship with Nike and Michael. So when they decided to expand, it was my relationship with Michael and Nike, but also San Diego State's relationship with Kawhi Leonard. So the 2 schools that they added that year was San Diego State with Kawhi, and then University of Houston. Our kids, I mean, it's been great. I think we're the only school in the state of Texas that's a Jordan brand. Of course, everybody would love to be Jordan brand, but it has provided opportunities for other programs here too, and that's something that is good for our athletic department.